Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Just heading home here and wanted to do a quick live session. And I want to wish you all the best. Anytime that somebody consumes any of my content, I'm extremely grateful. Whether it's short-term, long-term, you're just popping on over. Man, I sure appreciate you just taking the time. Had some good conversations today, some good interviews, and finally leaving the office here. And in these conversations, a couple things that came up. One was this strategy of what's called blue ocean marketing strategy. So having a look at doing things differently, that we buy differently, and not only that, people are compensated differently. You look at, I was bringing up the example of how we buy a car. I remember 20 years ago, well, now it's even longer than that, because I'll be the big 4-0 here pretty soon. When I was 16 and when we bought a car, it was much different. I had to go to a lot to see what was available. Kelley Blue Book, KBB.com, used to literally be a blue book where you could find these used cars and the estimated cost of these cars. And so there was a lot of trust given to that car associate. But now you look at the way that they sell cars, I'm coming on pretty well educated. I know a lot of what I'm looking for. I might even know from a used car perspective how many miles I want to see on that car, what color of interior do I want. And so I'm coming very armed from an educational perspective of how I want to buy that vehicle. And so as we think about the marketing strategies of what we're doing, how are we adding more value to people that want information and adding value instead of just trying to sell something? And so it lends itself to a very interesting conversation that if you want something that you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And for a lot of people, they think that, oh, I still want something different, but I'm going to keep doing what I've always done, and I hope it just gives me a different result. And that literally is insane. That is the definition of insane, is doing something over and over expecting a different result. It's running and expecting to get stronger in your arms. It's just not going to happen. Your legs get stronger when you run, but not your arms. Now you start carrying something because you're going to be doing something differently when you run, then all of a sudden things start changing a little bit. And so that conversation that I'm having with people in the interview process and with the team really, brought itself to light today, kind of going from conversation to conversation. The other conversation that I had that I think was really significant, I talked to the guy named Juan. He's over at a bank, worked in retail, got into the banking industry as a teller, and then moved himself up. Didn't get a college degree, but just worked hard, listened, coachable. And did it take him a lot more time to be able to understand some of the concepts because he didn't go to college? Sure it did, and he learned it on the fly. But man, he's doing very well. Commercial lender at a great bank here locally in our neck of the woods, and is doing really well from a career perspective. And I bring that up is because I don't think people have to do things a certain way. I think there's a lot of this attitude that I have to do this, I have to do that. We don't have to do anything. We are making choices to do certain things. Now, yes, you're going to say, if I have a child, I should be responsible, but we're not going into that kind of concept. We're just going along the lines of feeling like I have to do certain things. You don't have to help your kids through college. You don't have to retire at 65. You don't have to go work for that company. You don't have to go to a traditional learning scenario, a traditional college. You can do what you think is important to you, what's enjoyable to you, and you can do it in your terms if you so desire. And so you don't have to feel like you're being pressured or pushed into like a specific box. You can make those different choices for yourself and feel at ease that you're making those good decisions and not feeling like you're doing it a different way. Now, sure, might people give you a weird look here and there? Who cares? It's not their life. Don't worry about what other people are doing, what they're saying, what you think they might be thinking, what you think they might be saying. It's funny, the other day I was giving this team meeting, and I was talking about how, we should have a look at doing a podcast. It was in that degree. And one of the guys there was like, oh, yeah, that'll never get approved. And I said, is that based on what you've actually submitted and got denied from compliance? And he's like, no. I said, no. Like, you're saying no, that the department's automatically going to deny you from submitting a script for a podcast. What are you basing that on? And he goes, 3 years ago, I submitted a script, and it wasn't for a radio or anything, but he's like, I submitted it and it got denied. And I said, so it wasn't for a podcast? And I said, and it wasn't recent? He's like, no. And I said, that's the interesting thing about it. I didn't go into it, but in my mind I was thinking, it's interesting here. He was so certain that we would get denied by filling out this potential script for a podcast that he's already poo-pooing on the idea. He's already saying it can't be done, and he's basing it on literally zero experience. And I find that to be so true about too many people, is that they'll tell people that certain things cannot be done. Oh, you can't do that. And they base it on zero experience. Oh, you can't go do that. You can't start that business. You can't get that off the ground. That's never going to happen. And why are you basing that? It's zero experience, zero relativity, nothing whatsoever except the pure negativism that it just can't be done. So instead of thinking, how can this get done? What are the possibilities? They're not thinking from that perspective. And it needs to be done in that way. So I will tell anybody, if we're doing things that have always been done, then we're never going to get something different. And so right now is the time to try to go about doing something different. Have a go. See what happens. You're going to do some things, and there are going to be some winners, and there's going to be some losers. You might put a lot of content on LinkedIn, and tomorrow it goes belly up, right? All the things that we're trying to do from a strategy perspective or from a life perspective, do something that's never been done and try to get the results that you've never had. If you want to create a unique future, a fantastic future, you're going to have to do things that have never been done in the past. And too often we get stuck in this mindset that, well, I've never seen anyone do that before, so I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's going to work. When in reality, what you want to do is you want to go all in on the things that people have never done before, or you don't think have ever been tried before, because there's really good odds then that you're going to create that fantastic future. You're going to run upon something